everybody. Welcome to Biters.
We're back.
We are. The Real Housewives are taking over the airwaves yet again.
Season 4, episode 9.
Which is People Like Us, right?
I think you're saying that wrong. I think it's People Like Us.
Are you talking about us or the show?
Yes. It's like Sally Field's Oscar speech.
Right.
You like us. You really like us.
I have to say, I loved this episode.
I have to say, I was very meh about
I never thought I would say this about a Fear the Walking Dead episode. Now I'm having to talk you off the ledge.
Right? And not so much. I think this is kind of a filler episode for me.
Really?
So, yeah.
I really liked it. I thought it was a builder episode.
Oh, yeah, something's building.
So I gave it 4.575 out of 5 homesick Morgans.
Aww. I gave it 3.1 extensive wine cellars.
Oh my God, you really did not like it.
No, I didn't.
I'm so disappointed.
It was like a 66 Latour. The 61 is so much better. See, I'm being more entertaining than the episode.
That is not true. You're being very entertaining, but I enjoyed the episode too, so I'm not going to give it to you.
I was going to take offense to that. Save yourself.
So I don't have numbers because I would have had to look them up close to the mid-season finale, and I didn't. And I didn't go back and do the research, so shame on me.
Aww.
I do have a little bit about writer and director, but I'm hoping you said you had a brilliant idea, so I'm going to just go through writer and director really quickly, and then you'll be able to share your brilliance with us.
Sure.
So the writer was a woman named Anna Fishko, and we've seen her before because she is the person who wrote Laura.
Oh.
So this is only her second episode of Fear the Walking Dead, but she's got producer credits for a number of episodes this season. And then we've seen Magnus Martins before. He is someone who directed an episode of Fear the Walking Dead called Buried from the first half of the season, which I don't remember which one that was.
Me either.
But this is also only his second episode of Fear the Walking Dead. And neither one of them has Walking Dead Prime credits, so...
Interesting. Well, we talked in the first part of the season where it seemed like they were giving a lot of people a lot of rope to run with. Mm-hmm. And it seemed to be working out earlier in the season, so we'll see if it continues its hot streak.
It is still working out. I know you're not believing that right now, but it is still working out.
Undetermined.
So we decided that we did not have a featured cast member because we've kind of talked about everybody who's currently on the show.
Yes, it's not exactly our prime group, but it's kind of our main cast of characters, and we had no one new this episode. So I figured we would take a minute and talk about our group's upcoming movies and TV shows that they were going to be in. So I looked up our main cast and I clicked on all their profiles.
Good. Thanks for the warning.
Well, I checked to see what everyone has coming up, just because, they've had quite a bit of a break in filming. So a lot of them have worked on other projects, and a lot of their projects look amazing. So Alycia Debnam-Carey, who plays Alycia on the show, is coming up in a movie called Violent Separation. And it kind of looks like an indie film. I didn't really recognize any other cast members on it. The synopsis for it is: two brothers struggle with the terrible truth behind a tragedy that aims to tear 3 generations of family apart. And then she's also coming up in what kind of looks like another indie film called Liked, Liked, like you liked something.
Sure.
Jimmy and Chad have been best friends forever. Binger is smart and funny, but he's permanently in the friend zone with girls. Chad is hot, but girls never seem to want to stick around. Again, I don't recognize any of the other cast members, so I think it's kind of another indie film, but she's got a couple of things coming up that sound interesting. So, yeah.
Please tell me Coleman Domingo is doing something fascinating.
Coleman Domingo is doing 3 things that sound fascinating. So, he's coming up in a short that actually is completed, but it has a date of 2017. So, it's not released yet, but it's completed, and it's a short, so it's not a movie. So, I'm not sure where you're going to be able to find this, but Coleman Domingo is going to play a homeless alcoholic living on Skid Row, dons himself a private investigator to solve cases for others living on the streets.
Huh. That sounds really good.
Doesn't that sound super interesting? Can you not see Coleman Domingo in that role?
He's kind of practicing for that role right now.
Right?
Right.
After this episode, yeah, I can totally see that. Okay, and so his next project, I'm totally going to probably say this name wrong. It's called If Beale Street Could Talk, Beale. If Beale Street, if Beale
No,
Street?
I think it's If Beale Street Could Talk.
Okay, If Beale Street Could Talk. A woman in Harlem desperately scrambles to prove her fiancé's innocence of a crime while carrying their first child. Yeah, so that one sounds good. So his third film is currently filming, and it's called A Pale Blue Dot. The story of a female astronaut who, upon returning to Earth from a life-changing mission in space, begins to slowly unravel and lose touch with reality.
Ooh, that sounds really good.
Okay, so the main character in this movie is Zazie Beetz. Do you remember the name?
No, I probably should, but I don't.
Okay, she played Domino in...
Oh!
Yes, in Deadpool 2.
Excellent!
Yes, so it stars Zazie Beetz and Natalie Portman, John Hamm, and Coleman Domingo.
Wow, he is coming up in the world.
Yes, so I'm very excited about Coleman Domingo's 3 upcoming ventures.
I would definitely go see a Coleman Domingo movie.
Oh, and Zazie Beetz. She was amazing.
Awesome as Domino. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm super excited about that. Garret Dillahunt.
Garret Dillahunt.
Yes, I think he's got the most projects actually coming up.
Oh, really? I hope that doesn't mean anything significant.
Well, he's got 2 completed, 1 in post-production, 1 filming, and 1 in pre-production. So he's coming up in one called Widows. And this sounds interesting. This is one I think I'll want to see. Set in contemporary Chicago amidst a time of turmoil, 4 women with nothing in common except for a debt left behind by their dead husband's criminal activities take fate into their own hands and conspire to forge a future on their own terms. Doesn't that sound good?
Yeah, it does.
So it has Liam Neeson, John Bernthal.
Not Barenthal.
Not Bernthal.
Bernthal, not Barenthal.
Okay. I say it wrong all the time.
I know, right? We always do.
Colin Farrell, Michelle Rodriguez, and Robert Duvall.
Oh, what an interesting group of people.
Oh, and Viola Davis.
Wow.
Yeah, so that really sounds interesting. And very woman, female centric. So that's just right up our alleys. So his next one is called The Long Home. And I think we've actually talked about this one before when he was our featured castmate. A young contractor is hired to build a honky-tonk in Tennessee by the man who killed his father. And the reason why it seems so familiar is the picture on IMDb is James Franco. And so he's the main character in it. And Ashton Kutcher is second. Josh Hartnett Josh Hutchinson, and then, of course, Garret Dillahunt and a couple of other people. But I think we kind of talked about that one when Garret was our main cast, or our featured cast member.
I don't remember it.
Yeah, the only reason why it looked familiar was the picture on IMDb.
Well, and you do the research, so.
So the next one is Benched, and it has no synopsis for it. So it kind of almost looks like a Bad News Bears, kind of. The picture does. So we'll see what that is.
I can see him in that kind of movie.
That's the one that's actually post-production right now.
Okay.
So the next film doesn't have a synopsis either, but it's called Sergio. Sergio. And there's a 2009 HBO documentary with the same title, and it is a look at the life and work of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Sergio Vieira de Mello, and the rescue operation when he was trapped and injured by a bomb explosion at UN headquarters in Baghdad. So I don't recognize any of the other cast members other than Garret Dillahunt for that. So that might be kind of one that you kind of got to be in the mood for. And the one that is in pre-production right now with a release date of 2019 is called Supreme Ruler. In a small town in Illinois, a loyal Buffalo Lodge member, Steve Loomis, excitedly awaits the election where he intends to win Supreme Ruler title, but he comes into conflict with Lodge elder Hank, who doesn't appreciate his eagerness. So cast members include Juliette Lewis, Tom Berenger, and Garret Dillahunt. So that one kind of looks interesting too. But yeah, there's Widows actually looks like the more promising one for him on that horizon.
Although it's Garret Dillahunt, and I've really fallen in love with him, so I'm pretty willing to give him a chance too.
Right. And then last but not least is Alycia Debnam-Carey.
The girl who plays Charlie.
Right. And we talked about her upcoming movie because it's called Orphan Horse. And it also stars John Voight. So she's a young runaway girl who hides out in a barn of a retired horse trainer and forms a bond with his troubled filly.
Those troubled horses. They are such a pain.
So are children.
Did I ever tell you that my neighbor danced a solstice away with John Voight?
No, I think we did talk about this.
She did.
Yeah, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
So those are the upcoming projects for our cast members. Any of the other cast members who were not mentioned, they do not have an upcoming anything in production. So we didn't talk about them.
I'm just going to add one because I keep seeing ads for this and I keep saying, is that Lauren Cohan? Lauren Cohan is coming out in a movie this week with Mark Wahlberg called Mile 22.
Oh, that's right. I keep seeing. I haven't seen any ads for it, like movie trailers or anything, but it keeps popping up on my Twitter feed. So
it looks like an action bang bang shoot 'em up.
Yeah,
but, good for Lauren Cohan.
Absolutely. This has been a huge AMC has been a huge jumping off point for a lot of burgeoning stars. Mm-hmm. So good on them. Speaking of burgeoning stars, Thomas O'Mara.
Yes, shout out to Thomas O'Mara, who was tweeted out by Jenna Elfman.
And now is followed on Twitter by Jenna Elfman.
And was retweeted by Michael Satrazemis.
I'm so jealous.
Yes. And it's because he did this awesome picture that I encourage everyone to seek out for Walker Stalker Orlando with Jenna Elfman. It was really funny and really good.
And apparently she's an amazing person and very gracious, which we all kind of knew anyway. But yeah, so shout out to Thomas O'Mara. That's pretty cool.
And Thomas, if you feel like sharing it on the Biters page, please do so because it's a really fun picture.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, while we're in shout-out mode, and hopefully I don't offend anybody, because I know I've offended at least one person by embracing Chris Hardwick, but I have to say, Chris Hardwick was so gracious on Talking Dead.
He got a lot of hate on Twitter.
I know, you said that, and I'm not seeking it out. I'm intentionally not seeking it out.
Either that or my Twitter algorithms are totally off mark because I'm good with him being back. I can't if there was a Talking Dead without Chris Hardwick, it wouldn't be Talking Dead. So
I concur.
I absolutely love Yvette Nicole Brown, but I can't see her as the host of the show. I love it when she's on the show, but I can't see her hosting it. So yeah. We won't talk too much about that, but congratulations.
Except say, welcome back, Chris.
And congratulations for being cleared on, I wouldn't say charges, cleared on accusations.
Allegations.
Allegations by an independent investigation. So there you go.
Yeah.
We offended a few people, but I'm sure we made a couple of others pretty happy because he's still got a lot of supporters.
And it is what it is. You're entitled to not like Chris Hardwick. I happen to like him. And
I can't condemn a man on one person's accusations without any proof. So,
here we go, man. We're digging deep. Again, the hole is getting deeper.
I'm done. I'm ready to talk about Fear the Walking Dead.
All right. So, did you even have a good?
Well, so I did. I really liked Alycia in this episode. I always love Alycia. But I kind of like her drive to rescue people and save people like her mother did. This is our first episode AM after Madison, which I guess before it would be BM, which is totally appropriate.
Delightful.
So I really like that she's sort of taken up the role as the savior, which, I know Yvette Nicole Brown was talking on Talking Dead. Somebody asked her who the moral compass of the group is, and they were saying Garret Dillahunt, which doesn't bode well for him. But I really think, aside from Morgan, who they're not going to kill, knock on wood.
Yeah, they could kill anybody.
They could kill anybody.
They killed Carl, for heaven's sake.
Right? They killed Rick. They killed Carl. Spoiler for the main show.
Rick?
Oh, no, they're killing Rick.
We don't know that they're killing Rick. We don't know what they're doing with Rick.
They have to be killing Rick.
We don't know that they're killing Rick.
If they could kill Carl. Anyway, so I really think that Alycia is going to become our moral compass, and that does not bode well for her.
I don't think so. I think she's too damaged to be our moral compass.
I think under Morgan's tutelage, though.
No.
Fake news. I really love that, she's sort of taken up that moniker of the savior, and it's in direct opposition to Strand and Luciana's reaction to the death of everyone, because they're sitting around, they're not even living. They think that they're living, they've got a great wine cellar and an amazing...
I think Strand thinks he's living. I think that Luciana knows she's just existing.
Okay, they're both just waiting to die. That's what it is.
I agree. Yeah. I just think they have very different interpretations of what they're actually doing.
And I'm right there with Alycia. Like, when stuff hits the fan and the chips are down, I get driven. I'm like, adjust your sails and go. So... I'm totally on board with Alycia, which I always am, but she was what saved this episode for me. So
really,
really.
Well, I liked her, but I didn't feel like she was what saved the episode for me. Not to get too far into Rotting Potpourri, but I just feel like the buildup of all the relationships was really cool.
So
really liked that a lot.
So do you think that's what the title of the episode meant? People like us?
Well, one of them actually made a reference to something like, oh, people like us, or they don't help people like us, or something along those lines. I don't quite remember what the reference was, but it was actually a specific reference in the episode.
Okay. I missed it. I figured there would be one because there usually is, but
Yeah.
I totally missed it. Like I said, I had a really hard time like not playing on my phone during this episode. Even
You're
during my rewatch.
killing me.
I know, and that's really unlike me because I've so been on board with this season.
Well, I hope for your sake that you like the next episode better, because I, again, really like this episode. I think that's probably the highest rating I've ever given a fear episode.
Wow. Yeah, so it's not a deal. This isn't a deal breaker for me. I was just very meh.
So my good is actually a relatively small good considering how much I like the episode, but I thought it was really great. I loved the way that they opened with killing the walkers and raiding the dead for supplies.
I loved that.
It was totally new. I don't really remember ever seeing that in any of the episodes of the original series or this series before, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really clever, and it was just a really good new use of the dead.
So I think for the gamers out there, that would be looting the walkers.
Yeah.
Like a video game.
Totally.
Yeah. And he got a really good haul.
Yeah, I mean, what a great idea to catch the walkers of people who were trying to survive.
And go through their backpack.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, if this really were a video game and you could loot the walkers like this, and, scavenge for materials, every garbage can would have ammo in it.
Which, by the way, you need to play Our World, The Walking Dead.
I do. I need to sign on to that.
Yeah, because you get to loot things. Not quite like that, but...
I scavenged a beach earlier last week. Some girlfriends and I are getting together for craft night, and I needed a whole bunch of mussel shells for a wreath. So I had to hike out to a beach and scavenge mussel shells at low tide.
And what did you soak them in so they don't smell dreadful?
Vinegar.
Ah, okay.
A vinegar solution, water and vinegar solution. Yeah.
Very good.
And you don't take live ones, and you don't take ones with live barnacles on them, and that really helps out with being non-smelly.
I have to say, by the way, this has nothing to do with mussels, but I was splitting wood earlier when I was supposed to be getting online with you. And I swear to God, I saw the biggest spider I've ever seen outside of a tarantula case.
Global warming.
It freaked me out.
This is why they call us the Real Housewives of Alaska. Here I am, like, getting mussels on a beach, and you're getting mussels by chopping wood. Different mussels, but...
I don't know. I have to totally admit, I was using a log splitter. To hell with the whole chopping wood thing. I only do that if I absolutely have to. Log splitter all the way, baby.
Real Alaskan Housewives.
Oh, yeah.
Over 40.
That's right. The over 40 edition.
We're not millennial housewives. All right.
All right. So what was your bad?
Let's see. So my bad, and I know I have talked about this before, so some people might get the reference. I felt like there was a missing reel.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you who don't know, in reel-to-reel movies, kind of old school grindhouse style, when the films would get shipped around, sometimes a section of the movie would go missing. And so you just have like a 15-minute, 30-minute time jump. And, you go from your characters being in one location, all calm and serene, to them like totally in battle and chaos happening all around them. And it's because there is a missing reel. What happened to scatter our group and make them so disconnected from each other?
Well, they were so angry with each other at the end. Well, not quite at the end of last.
No, they had a kumbaya moment over
They did.
Yeah.
But they also had a lot of deep stuff underneath that kumbaya moment.
I guess.
Yeah.
But I just felt like that there was a missing reel, and we were told that there was not going to be any weird timelines or backstory or anything like that. We weren't going to shift back and forth like we did all of the first part of the season. So are they going to show us how everyone got to where they are, or is this just how it's going to be? Like this, it's just going to be the story of everyone coming together at this point. So I don't like feeling like I've missed something when we follow the show so closely. So I get really annoyed when I feel like did I skip an episode? What's going on?
I don't feel like they're going to tell us how they all became very separate. I think that's going to be implied. I think it's going to be the story of how they come back together.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's sort of implied, like you said, that they all just had such deep feelings about everything that had gone on, between Nick's death and Madison's death and the scavengers and Charlie. We're going to have to deal with that at some point. So
maybe not. I mean, it sounds like from the interview that Luciana oh my gosh, I'm going to totally forget her name.
Dianne Garcia.
Yes, it sounds like the interview that Dianne Garcia gave means that that she at least has kind of come to a place of peace with Charlie.
Well, she didn't shoot her.
She didn't shoot her, but we still have Strand, who is a little, and we still have Alycia, who's really going to be not happy with Charlie.
That looks like our next episode.
It does, yeah.
That looks like a legit horror movie where they're like trapped in a house together because of the hurricane, and like they're just chasing each other around, playing a serious game of hide and seek, So that was my bad. I just felt like there was a missing reel.
So my bad, I had two things, and one of them was related to exactly that. I felt like it ended really abruptly. Like, I looked at my other half and I said, wait, that's it? It's over? And I felt like I had missed the end.
Yeah, because it seemed like at the beginning we were shown the SWAT vehicle with like the hurricane coming and everything. And we kind of ended there too. So they did do a little bit of a time jump. They showed us.
Really ended with Charlie and Luciana.
Right.
And I was like, whoa, wait a minute, what?
There's got to be more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my real bad was the sound. I've gotten to the point where I feel like I need to watch it with subtitles, and it's kind of frustrating because the sound is such that I feel like it detracts a little bit from the dialogue, and I have a really hard time following the dialogue in certain moments. It's a little better if I put our soundbar on.
Oh, I think it's because we watch with a sound bar all the time.
It's a little better if I put the sound bar on, but God, am I just getting that old that I need the subtitles?
So that's super interesting because remember one of our Biters fans mentioned for Walking Dead Prime that, and it was one of our gripes too, that it's super dark. They're filming in the dark all the time, and it's like that may look good like on camera, but we can't see anything at home on our TVs. So with Prime, it's visual, and with Fear, it's auditory.
Exactly.
That's funny.
So that was my bad. My big bad gripe was just that I had a really tough time with the sound and a tough time following the dialogue because the sound was not so great.
So do you think it was just this episode, or have you been having an issue with
all? I don't know. I'm going to give it a chance with the next episode, and we'll see.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
I think I'm going to set it to record with subtitles on.
That's funny.
So did you have an ugly, and was it a good ugly or a bad ugly?
Both.
Okay. You always do that. You're such a cop-out.
I do. And it was actually more of a good ugly than a bad ugly. I'm really glad that Alycia found the lumberyard dude dead. Because how many times do we say, like, someone could, in the real world, somebody would just walk off and never be seen again. We wouldn't get that kind of closure. So, like, we don't always get a happy ending. That's not real life. Her finding him when it's too late, that's so real. And plus, I didn't have to learn a new character name.
It looks like from the previews that you're going to have to learn some new character names this second half of the season. I'm sorry. Well,
and we will get to that in Rotting Potpourri. But yeah, I was, it was sad because, it's horrible that she found him dead, but it was real. you know? And
Hmm.
I also liked the detail that he tied himself to that desk so that whoever did come for him, he didn't kill. You know, he didn't bite, he didn't attack. He knew that he was dying, or he thought that maybe if he died, you know, somebody would get these messages and they would open the door, and he didn't want to be the cause of somebody else. And I think that's something that I would do, you know? You know, we've seen it before where people have committed suicide and actually like chained themselves. I think there was a library one earlier this season where Nick and Luciana opened a door and somebody had like chained
Were they
themselves.
chained up, or was it just that they were tangled up in cords? I thought it was that they were tangled up in cords.
Oh, maybe. I thought they were chained, but I think we have seen it before between Walking Dead Prime and Fear that people have taken that precaution knowing
Hmm.
that, you know, I don't have a way to, you know, kill myself through the brain, so I'm going to make sure that I'm not the cause of somebody else's death. And I loved that, you know, that whole thing, you know, like I said, she was my good. And you know, it's terrible that, you know, she didn't rescue the person that she had been working for days or weeks on, but it's real. So that was my ugly.
Very good.
What was yours?
Well, I told you that they're finally making me care.
Yes.
They're finally making me care, and I've got to tell you, my ugly is a good ugly, and it's Morgan's decision to go back to Alexandria. It just hit me right in the heart.
Do you think he's gonna?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that that could potentially be a mechanism for Rick's departure. I think that could be some closure with Rick. But I don't know. It just made me so sad. I was like, I'm really getting into Morgan on this show. I was sad that they were going to cross him over and take him off of the main show. And now that he's here, I don't want him to leave. It just really hit me in the heart. And it made me realize that I finally really care about the characters on Fear.
So, and that's funny because I've been a bad podcaster and I haven't read any articles. Well, maybe that's good that I haven't been tainted by other people's writings. But the top two headlines on Google News for Fear the Walking Dead is a Forbes article titled Fear the Walking Dead is definitely marching towards a collision with The Walking Dead. And Vanity Fair is Fear the Walking Dead headed for another even bigger crossover. So we could be headed to Alexandria with the Fear the Walking Dead group.
Which would be pretty cool, but then how do they separate the series? How do they proceed with the series?
They end Prime. You know?
Possible.
Yeah, I think the clock is ticking on on the Walking Dead Prime.
So they get the Fear people to Alexandria and then have them take it over. I mean,
Yeah.
have them be the group that we follow.
And then anyone who wants to stay with AMC's Walking Dead
Becomes a
stays,
Fear character.
becomes a Fear character.
Possible.
Oh,
Bold prediction. Bold prediction.
man, Thomas Omar, if you've got anybody in the Walking Dead universe to listen to the show, I should write.
I shouldn't write.
Oh.
So only solicit one of the Real Housewives if that happens.
Maybe not write. You can just listen to me and write stuff down.
There you go. That works for me. I'll have to find a new podcast host because you'll be in the know, but
Yeah, that would be interesting.
sorry, my phone is ringing. Right in the middle of the podcast, of course.
Everybody who has that ringtone, just check their phone.
Right. There are days that I love that my phone is connected to my computer, but not every day.
Ugh. Do not disturb.
Right?
Yeah, it's like Sunday nights, man. Don't try and call me.
So what have you got in your rotting potpourri?
So I'm very sorry you had to see the opening scene. Were you just totally traumatized by the walkers eating that poor dead horse?
I totally, once again, thought you cannot be a horse or a little girl on The Walking Dead and survive.
Oh,
I completely, of course I focused on the horse and I was like, oh, God.
I saw that and I immediately thought, oh no. Oh,
And you know what's really
Diane.
bad? It kind of looks like Scoogie.
Oh, that's awful.
For people who don't know, that's my Icelandic horse. And
Uh,
it looked a little bit like him.
and she was just at horsey camp with him.
Yes, we had a good time at horse camp.
That's awesome. So, yeah, I saw that and I immediately was like, oh, that's like killing the dog. Don't do that.
Right?
Yeah.
We need to start a website called Does the Horse Die?
The answer should always be no.
No.
No. Oh, so I'm sure your heart warmed a little when John looked longingly at June and told Morgan, I think I've got everything I need right here.
Although, what about her internal freak out?
I think Al handled that very well.
I do too, but
I think
boy.
she calmed June's nerves.
Do ya?
Yeah. Yeah, because, today is today and tomorrow's tomorrow, and God knows if they'll even be... Or no, today's today. Yes, yesterday's yesterday? Today's today, and God knows if there'll ever be a tomorrow. So...
Well, and I like what she said about you're the person who is here now taking care of him. That's
right.
who you are.
Yep. I agree. You don't have to be June. You can be... Or you don't have to be Laura.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to have such a hard time with that. She's got 3 dang names.
She's June from here on out.
Right?
Look at Thomas O'Mara's picture. That's all I have to tell people. Look at Thomas O'Mara's picture. Follow him on Twitter if you're not following him on Twitter.
Yes. I was actually just going to look up Jenna Elfman to see what they credit her as in the show.
I think now they're probably crediting her as June.
Yeah, they credit her as June in the episode, but if you go to her IMDb profile, she's Naomi/June. So there's no mention of Laura. So confusing. Do you have anything?
I have just a lot of notes.
Oh, God, I do too.
But they're notes, they're notes that we've kind of talked about. One of the things that really struck me about Luciana and Strand, and we talked about this a little bit, is that they are so hopeless. And the thing that was really interesting to me, like looking at them and looking how hopeless they are and watching Morgan's interactions with everybody, is that right now he's the one who is the most sane and the most together.
He's clear.
Well, no, he's not clearing, but... No. But he's in a good space right now, and I thought that was very interesting.
So the scene when Morgan comes in and is talking to them about going to Alexandria, I absolutely love how that scene was done. And if you get a chance, go back and look at what I'm talking about, because they switch between Luciana talking and Strand talking. And they're telling Morgan their reasons for not wanting to go. And it flips back and forth so much that one of them finishes a sentence and then the other finishes a sentence, and it's very clipped. And it's almost as if they don't register the other person in the room. They're just so in their own world. I mean, Strand is so out of his mind, drunk on wine, and Luciana is so into her depression hole that neither of them even registers the other person in the room. It was filmed so amazing.
I think they're actually in separate rooms and they're just flipping back and forth between the scenes.
No, she's sitting on some cushions on the floor and Coleman's in a chair, probably 8 feet away from her. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was really well done. I really, really liked how that was filmed. So...
Well, I feel like no one has a good reason for not going with Morgan.
Not a good reason.
I mean, I feel like no one has a good reason. I mean, John Dory's reason of kind of, well, I'm not sure that I'll even be able to make it back to the cabin. I'm sorry, they've got Al and the SWAT van.
Yeah. And it's not like they're on a timeline. It's not like they got to be there in 3 days,
right.
So, yeah.
And it's not like he's any safer where he is.
And... the only one that I can kind of see is Luciana saying, I never want to be back in that van again. That's a little bit of PTSD talking. So, but maybe not a good reason.
Not a good reason.
No.
No, I don't think
Not.
anybody has a great reason to not go with Morgan. And maybe that's how we end up back in Alexandria with this whole crew.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Hopefully
Or maybe we're completely wrong and they don't end up back in Alexandria at all.
Maybe.
Although Morgan seems pretty determined.
He is. And I really think that, because I could have sworn that there was talk of Morgan rejoining Prime at some point. Like
I
that
thought there was
happen.
too. I thought there was as well.
Yeah. Yep.
So I liked the way that John Dory tried to get through to Charlie by kind of re-experiencing his own trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know that he was reliving having shot that person and trying to talk Charlie off of the ledge. You know, sometimes you do bad things and you can't punish yourself for them forever.
Right. Right. And I liked his Scrabble therapy.
Yes, that was really awesome. And it sounds like Talking Dead was saying that Scrabble board got good use even when they weren't on screen.
Yeah. And, that I think that's kind of a legit way that a psychologist would try and get through to a traumatized mute child is, I would imagine that it would almost be like art therapy.
Sure, or play therapy. Yeah,
right,
there's different kinds of play therapy.
She could work through the trauma in the words in Scrabble because where her mind is at and the words that she is thinking about. You could almost tell what she was thinking by the words she played, So I think that was a very good way of dealing with the situation, and leave it to John Dory to find it.
He's pretty awesome, and I hate to say that I think Yvette Nicole Brown is probably right. He probably is the new moral compass.
Well, nobody can have a healthy relationship in the zombie apocalypse.
Well, nobody can have a healthy relationship with June.
Maybe that's the secret. You just have to be with someone who, won't ever tell you the truth.
Right?
I loved their little interaction when she's like, "Do you think the cabin's still there?" And he's like, "Well, I locked the door before I left." That made me laugh.
He's really interesting because he's very intuitive, for example, the way that he worked with Charlie, but he's also very simple.
Yes.
And I think that makes him a really fun and interesting character. He's not complicated, but he's got a lot of layers nonetheless.
Yeah, it's the quiet ones you gotta watch.
You said you had some revelations, or maybe it was just talking about the potential crossover?
Well, no, the upcoming character names that I will have to learn.
Okay. So talk a little bit about that.
Take what you need, leave what you don't. See you further down up the road.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Do you think it's a trap? Do you think this is their terminus?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they're going to play out the terminus storyline again. I think that's done.
Oh, I have so little trust in the zombie apocalypse.
I'm not going to say necessarily that they're going to find good people, but maybe not terminus people.
Okay.
Although it looks like they find a new group of survivors that they actually join up with.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's probably what the box was.
What the take what you need people are.
Right. But I always have that ooky feeling that it's a trap. I every time, somebody reaches out a hand, I feel like that they're just gonna smack you with it. I do. Yeah. No, I think I would probably be a loner in the ZA.
Well, I think they might pull them in and hurt them, but I don't think necessarily they're going to slap them away.
I even thought that the box was a trap. Like you were going to reach into it and some sort
and
of
a zombie hand was going to reach up and get you.
No, I thought there was going to be some sort of thing that loops around your ankle and drags you to a tree, Oh.
Your Wile E. Coyote moment.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I also thought another thing that was interesting was when Morgan was trying to talk to Alycia about being there for Strand and Luciana, and she looks at him and says, "You could be there for us too." So
Yes.
she's kind of trying to guilt him into staying.
And I think it worked for now. I think that's what's going to bring everybody back together is he's going to try and be there for him, and then they're going to hit the road, and maybe that will be our season finale. But yeah, the look on his face was he was just like, you got me.
Wouldn't it be perfect if they wrapped up the season by having them cross over into Walking Dead Prime?
It would be, because Walking Dead Prime looks like they took a time jump. So they still wouldn't have to have the Fear characters on the main show. Would they? Yeah, they would. Maybe.
Hard to say. I mean, they can play with time. They can do anything they want with time.
I'm not a time lord. All this wibbly wobbly timey-wimey stuff. I'm not there for it. So, yeah. Speaking of Strand and Luciana, that fence
was lame.
Yeah. No wonder why they had a hole in it. It was lame to begin with, and their patch job was even worse.
Well, that's what you get when you have a drunk and someone who's so deep in mourning that she doesn't hear a zombie being killed behind her.
Right? In their defense, that perimeter was way too large. They needed to tighten that up.
That's fair.
Yeah, there was too much area to that area. They needed to bring the fence in a little more and shore it up.
But now, since they're going to abandon it for Alexandria anyway, we don't need to worry about it.
Right. I really hope he takes that wine with him.
Well, he's at least going to take what, the 61?
Yes, it's much better than a 66. Maybe we'll trade the 66 along the way.
That's doable.
Yeah.
Okay, so it looked to me like the introductory scene where they're making the little changes that we're supposed to watch for.
Yes.
That the zombies were coming into clearing weather.
But didn't it also look like that there were two humans following the small horde?
I wasn't sure. Just with the way that they were moving, I wasn't sure.
So the zombies in the horde were in front, and they were all like hunched over and like dragging a leg and everything like zombies do. And then the two people behind were, I was like, I at first I thought they were just zombies who straggled behind, but they were upright and walking normally. But I couldn't tell which two of our characters they were, because they could have been June and Al, they could have been Alycia and Morgan, they could have been Strand and John.
Right, it could have been any of the pairs that were out and searching.
Right. So
and they were pairs.
Yep.
They were all pairs.
Yep. So I don't think that they were is Charlie and Alycia. Or Charlie and Luciana.
And Luciana.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was I did get that in the opening credit that there were storm clouds behind, but it kind of looked like better weather headed towards, maybe.
Although then Ian Goldberg said on Talking Dead that the storm is going to impact everyone.
Yeah, so have you watched the Next Time On?
I didn't. I ended up going out and splitting wood with a giant spider. So
Did you get the spider? Did you kill it?
I didn't kill it. It would have made such a mess. It was so huge. I flicked it away with a piece of wood. So it's still out there somewhere roaming. Getting bigger.
No wonder why your dogs are howling. You left them out there with
the spider.
With the spider.
And the chickens are cooped up, so the chickens can't eat it.
Oh, yuck. So next episode looks like there's a high pressure system moving in and the winds are picking up. Looks like stormy with a chance of dead.
I like that, stormy with a chance of dead.
That's the weather. Back to you, Diane.
I think that's going to be your rating for the next episode, Marnell.
Stormy with a chance of dead?
Yeah.
Yeah. I did love the flying walkers and how they were hitting the SWAT vehicle and everything.
Did you see the behind the scenes about how they filmed that? I thought that was pretty cool.
I did, and we were just like, oh my God, it's actually a dude running with that.
Right.
But I'm like, that's got to be the safest way to do it, because if someone gets caught or something breaks or something goes wrong, that person can immediately stop. It's not a mechanical, slingshot mechanism or anything that's just going to keep going whether your harness is broken or not. Mm-hmm. It's a dude who's going to stop in his tracks. So, yeah. Yeah, next episode looks better than this episode, so I think I'll hang in there.
Well, I really enjoyed this episode, so it's only up from here, man.
Are you sure?
Watch. Next time you'll be like, I loved it. I'll be like, I was kind of meh.
Well, I think we work well that way.
We certainly seem to be on that track with Preacher, so it wouldn't surprise me if we stuck on that track with Fear as well.
Yeah, we're a couple episodes behind on Preacher, so
anybody caught up.
Anybody who wants to binge and then listen to the show, we should be caught up by the time you're done watching and listening.
The good news, the gospel according to AMC's Preacher.
With Tulip and Cassidy.
It's right.
Oh, listen to them sing.
I know. They're happy because it's not raining and they have fresh, not straw, but wood chips in their houses.
And dead guys aren't blowing around.
And the giant spider is distracted elsewhere.
I think of the giant spider from Harry Potter that...
it's not quite that big. It's pretty impressive, but it's not quite that big.
I'm going to start calling Nick Haggard now.
Now that would be appropriate.
Awesome. So did you have anything else for the episode?
I don't think so. I wrote lots of notes, but more than anything, it was like, I love it. They're making me care. Morgan is breaking my heart. So. Oh,
the last thing that I had is right after Morgan talked to Al about driving him back to Alexandria, mm-hmm. and she was like, yeah, all the stories you tell me about the king with the tiger.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice the walker that was in front of Strand's house?
It totally looked like it had been mauled by a tiger.
Okay, that wasn't just me.
That wasn't just you.
Okay. All right. I'm hoping somebody else caught that too, because that definitely snapped me to attention.
Yeah.
I stopped looking at my phone.
The one moment that got you in the whole episode. That looked like that's been mauled by Shiva.
Right? Shiva live! But yeah, those are all my notes.
Well, same here. So I guess that means we wrap it up for tonight, and same time next week for Fear.
Yeah, but until then,
just remember,
take it one dead day at a time.
Dang, that was kind of close a couple of times.
Yeah. Out of practice.
Not too bad, though, for being out of practice.
No, what's it been? 2 months? 3 months?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've got, 7 more episodes to practice?
And then back to Walking Dead Prime.
Woo-hoo!
Yep.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Have a good
week.
Bye.
Bye.